It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Hawaii Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And a good evening as we welcome you here to the KCCR studios as we have another edition of Coach's Corner. We'll talk plenty of football, including playoff football. We'll talk with Pierre Governor head coach Steve Steele as they get ready for their final game of the regular season. And then the playoffs begin for Sully Beach, Stanley County, and Lyman, as we'll talk with Tom Moore, Max Foth, and Mike Kiefer of those three respective teams. We'll also talk with Jim Keys, the head coach of the Pierre boys cross country team, as their state meet is set for Saturday. That's all to come here on Coach's Corner. We'll talk with Steve Steele next here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome you back here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com, joining me here is Coach Steve Steele as we continue Coach's Corner. And a crazy game last Friday, the atmosphere of the rain and the wind and just how the whole night would kind of progress through. Have you been a part of a game like that other than maybe the Mud Bowl a couple years ago against Brookings? I mean, having both those factors, if one of those weren't there, it'd probably been a really nice night. But both of them there made things a lot more miserable for the coaches and for the spectators. Maybe the players enjoyed it a little bit more, but overall, it was a nasty night on Friday.
Yeah, I think I would put that one up there pretty high on the misery scale. I think the Mud Bowls weren't even that bad because there wasn't so much precipitation during the game. It was just cold and the ground was wet. So I guess from a coaching side, the kids probably got all wet and dirty in the mud, but we didn't. And I think there was a playoff game in 2017 where it was like 10 or 20 below with huge winds. That was freezing first round playoff game against Brookings. That's about as close as it can get, but really all we got is we learned that waterproof material is really not that waterproof after 4 hours of sitting in the rain.
Well, but what you also came out with was a big win, and a game that in that type of conditions really favors a team that likes to run the football a lot. And you guys can run the football a lot and obviously showed it with the win on Friday, but that was probably the best case scenario weather-wise for T, because that's how they wanted to try and win is a running football game, and they didn't force you in the running game. The weather forced you into a running game.
Yeah, it definitely did favor their style of play. I don't know that it adjusted their game plan a ton. On either side of the ball, really, where, it kind of took away a large portion of ours and tossed it in the garbage. So, kudos to the kids for being able to adjust on the fly like that and, not, put their head down and be upset about the situation or the weather and just kind of figure out what they had to do to win each play and ultimately find a way to win the game.
And then you go from last Friday to now what's going to be Thursday, and the difference, the weather right now is currently looking like it's going to be looking like a great night for football on Thursday night to finish out the season. It's South Dakota weather, but it's hard to believe we went from a miserable night on Friday to might be even one of the best nights of the year on Thursday night.
Yeah, and it is what it is. When you get to the end of the season and seasons are kind of starting to change, you got to be prepared for anything, and we'll enjoy the good weather while we've got it and brace ourselves for. Hopefully, we don't get another one like last Friday ever, but you got to be prepared for it.
Well, and now that you got back from T, a win on Thursday guarantees you one of the top two spots. Obviously, Sturgis and Spearfish will factor in if you guys are number one or number two. But that should be the last time you travel, other than when you want to travel again to Vermilion for a state championship. How nice is that to know that you guys can be home for the next 3 weeks, finish out everything at home, and not have to worry about traveling until the state championship?
Yeah, that's crucial. I mean, that's the most important part of the regular season here, in South Dakota high school football is, obviously to get the highest seed you can, to hopefully have the easiest path, but to have that path go through your home field, it's a huge advantage, especially being in Pierre where there is no, crosstown trips. It's a 3-hour trip no matter what. So definitely good to have the other teams be taking that 3-hour trip and then having to do it ourselves and controlling our own destiny to head into the final.
Talking with Steve Steele here of the Pierre Governors on Coach's Corner, and one of the things too is I mentioned just a little bit ago, Sturgis Spearfish controlling your destiny to be 1 or 2. Obviously, you guys control it and how you end up going to the state championship, and that's just determining home and away as a number 1 and number 2 seed. But knowing that those two teams kind of control what might happen with 1 and 2, they're going to start an hour later. Then you guys can kind of almost, after the game is over, you can sit there and watch the end of that game and then immediately start game planning for next week, Thursday.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of what it is, and it's kind of an interesting deal that they're going to end up playing technically after us, so we'll get to kind of tune in. But you kind of think of the NFL. I remember teams doing that where they've got it up on their video board at the end of the game, and really any of the big leagues, when there's the end of the season playoff races and whatnot, that they've kind of got it up for all the scoreboard watchers. So it's just an exciting time of year. When you're kind of wondering what's next, because again, a lot of things can change this week. If we take care of business, we're 1 and 2, but we could play an array of different teams, and the path could look drastically different depending on how some different games go. So just fun to kind of see that as it all comes in, and then ultimately get off and plan who we're going to plan for.
Real quick, we'll change the gears here to the NFL, because the Lions, another win. I know that you're excited to talk about the Detroit Lions every Wednesday, so I got to give you another chance to keep talking about them, because not necessarily every year. Last year maybe a little bit of an exception, but most years before this, you probably don't really want to talk about them too much. Now you want to keep talking about them.
Yeah, this is a newfound feeling, as a Lions fan. But, I think the most impressive part about what they've been doing is they've been doing it with different people, because they've got a lot of injuries already in the young season. And Montgomery went down, I think, in the first half this week, and they played Reynolds at running back, whoever that is, and he still did great. And that's a sign of a good team when you can lose some of those guys and still find ways to keep going. And Goff's been outstanding. The receiving core has been really good. Laporte has done a good job at tight end, and it's making him look smart for trading Hawkinson and getting that contract away from him to get a rookie contract at tight end. Really, it's been exciting to see that they're winning, but to see how they're winning. Gibbs hasn't played in a couple weeks, and they haven't missed a beat. And the game that Montgomery was out and Gibbs was in, they didn't miss a beat. So just been really cool to see them just find ways to grit through some different and difficult victories. And they've kind of got a little control right now in the division, which is cool to see.
There has been too many times where Friday, Saturday, and Sunday football has been great. I mean, Fridays usually have been great. Saturday especially the last couple of years, have been really good. Sundays haven't quite been that way, and now you're getting the trifecta almost every weekend right now.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun fall so far. But at the same point, it's not necessarily how the season goes the way. It's how does it end? And usually, again, the Lions are kind of ended usually by now to some degree. But hopefully, all three of them can have successful end of seasons.
Did the Red Wings win this weekend too?
They won on Saturday against Tampa Bay.
So you got
5-4.
So you got 4 wins this weekend.
It was an undefeated weekend.
That's a rarity for Steve Steele fan base.
It is very, especially the way the Red Wings have been the last few years. But a lot of things to be excited about right now.
Let's go back here to football. Last game of the season for the Pierre Governors. Game time's at 7 o'clock on Thursday against Douglas. We'll have coverage at 6:30 on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. This is a business-like chance for the Governors. Get a win, stay healthy, get ready for next week. not to take anything away from Douglas, but where Pierre and Douglas are at, one of the standings and just in general, you want to be very businesslike and handle the business the way that you're supposed to get a win and get out of there.
Yeah, that's the most important part of this, is that we find ways to improve, and we've got to continue to not worry about who we're playing so much as worry about ourselves. This is the last game that we can say that, because then after this week, it's do what you got to do to get through that one game and find a way to win and move on. This is really our last game that we can focus on growth and focus on, did we get better today, and individually and as a team and as groups, and hopefully we can find a way to do that. Regardless of what the score is, hopefully we can answer in the post game and say, yeah, we got better today.
It's kind of an unfair question to ask you, but T obviously, and take away all how the elements were, but is it easier to play a team like Douglas towards the bottom of the standings, or is it easier to play a team like T in week 9, or is there really, obviously you'll play whoever you play on the schedule, but would you rather take a team that's going to be threatening to maybe, or especially the last couple of years, threatening to go to the state championship, or a team that you say we really can worry about ourselves, not worry so much about the scores and get going?
So the hard part to that question is I think every year my answer might be a little different. I think that it kind of just depends on where your team is at. And unfortunately, by the time you know the answer to that, your schedule's set and you don't have a choice anyway. But if you look back a couple of years, we played a really tough Brookings team the last weekend of the season at home, and we lost a close game. And I would say that we won the state championship because of that loss. That really motivated the guys. It was a wake-up call. And then we got back to work and won 3 in a row to win the state title. Where I think this year, we've got some guys that are banged up, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to hopefully heal those guys and find a week to, build some of that depth a little bit more and get that ready for playoff time. But, so I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer in general. I think it kind of depends by the year. And again, you don't really have a whole ton to say, but you're not necessarily going to know what type of year it's going to be when you're making the schedule. I guess we don't make the schedule, so all of it's kind of irrelevant, I guess.
Well, that is a fantastic ending to that answer. Talk about all that scenarios, and it's all irrelevant. But hey, going into this game, what's going to be the biggest reason for the Governors to get a win and stay healthy and get ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think getting back to what we do on offense, we should have the weather to do that. So hopefully we can be a little bit more balanced and get that passing game going again. And then defensively, just again finding the ways to be in the right position and then tackle a little bit better. The weather was obviously tough to make those tackles, but just the confidence thing of making them on the first attempt this week will be big.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you in the pregame show now on Thursday.
Thanks, John.
As head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, will return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
Back here on Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Tom Moore of the Soy Beach Chargers, who will be taking on the 10-seed Kadoke area Cougars in the first round of the playoffs, in the 9B playoffs here, coming up on Thursday night. It's a Thursday night game. The next 2 Thursdays will be for football, the 7 versus 10 matchup. And Coach, let's kind of jump into and talk about this matchup here. You're the 7th seed at 3-5 as the 7th seed. That tells you just how good a competition, how grueling this schedule was, because there's not a lot of teams that finish below 500 that end up being in a home game in the first round of the playoffs. But the Chargers, You guys played 5 teams with a 750 win percentage or above. That is a grueling schedule for you guys.
Yeah, it was a tough schedule, week in, week out. And us being young, it was lots of trials and errors to start with, and a little bit of personnel changes as we went on. And we battled in a lot of those games, so it was good for the kids to see that experience. But we did play some tough competition, but I was proud of how the kids played. And most of those games, some of them we didn't play real well, but some of them we battled as hard as we could battle it. You get to some of those points that you just kind of get out-athleted at some points in with some of those games.
And now, how nice is it to have that reward of being able to be at home, especially in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, that's a big deal. You talked about at the start of the year of having home field advantages. When we made a couple of them big playoff runs the last couple of years, we played a lot of games at home. It's a big deal, especially this time of year where your opponent might be 3-4 hours away. We went to Elcester a couple of years ago. That's a haul for you. It's just wearing that we can be at home, we can be in school all day, and just go home, relax a bit, and come back to school and get ready to go. So it's a big deal.
You're taking on Kadoka area here on Thursday, and they are a team that also at 3-5. They're the 10 seed this year. They were the 3 seed last year and got upset in the second round. But when you look at this team and you look at their schedule, you guys both played Lyman. I know they played them back on September 1st. Do you take anything away from being that a common opponent, or is that so far back at the beginning of the season that you might look at it, but you're not solely focused on looking at what they did against Lyman?
No, we saw the game, but I don't take too much from it. I mean, people are going to make adjustments for each team that they play. You're going to play a little bit different. We did things against Lyman differently than how they did it, and vice versa. So you'll kind of look at it just for a common opponent, but I don't take too much into it other than just the personnel and then who's going where.
So what have you seen from this Kadoka team? What are you expecting coming up on Thursday night?
They got some athletes. I mean, they're a pretty solid 3-5 team. They do a nice job. They run another form of double wing. That's probably the most double wing we've seen this year in the last couple of years. Just a different form of it than what a couple other ones have run. Got a good quarterback that's extremely athletic. He's very good at linebacker as well. They got some players in some other spots that are pretty decent.
Being on a Thursday night, obviously, you're used to it. Every season ends on a Friday night, then the first round is on that Thursday. But how did the guys kind of respond to shorten up the week? Obviously, we're talking, before the week's even done with. But how have the guys been able to respond with now a shorter week?
Pretty good. It's just a little bit of adjustment. We had film and just a little bit of a walk-through stretch on Sunday afternoon to kind of get the afternoon going again, or get the soreness out from Friday's hard-fought battle against Corsica. So we just kind of had a little shakeout jogs and stretching, and did film just like we would on normal Monday. So it won't be too big of an adjustment.
Again, talking with Tom Moore here of the Soybeans Chargers, taking on the Kadoka area Cougars on a Thursday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. DT will have the call on Country 95.3 on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports, with the Chargers hosting the Kadoka area Cougars. Now, not that you're looking ahead, because obviously you got to get through Kadoka area, but you face the winner of Faulkton area versus Jones County if you do get that win on Thursday. You played Faulkton area as well. I asked you last week, how difficult it is not knowing your opponent. Not that you do know your opponent, but by the time the game ends for you, by the time the other game will end, you kind of feel probably a little bit. Again, you're not looking ahead, but you're going to feel a little bit better probably going ahead into next week, knowing that you know your opponent by the time before you even probably get home Thursday night.
Yeah, you'll probably know before that point. It'll just a little bit easier getting film the further you go in playoffs, because you're worried about two teams that are going to be playing each other to get filmed for, and playing one and kind of seeing them throughout the year. With Faulkton, I think they have New Underwood, so I got a little bit on them. So we'll be prepared for both of them once we come ready with the kids to come watch film. So that just makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, the first round there's just so many variables that change that I just got a little bit of film before Saturday, but then I coaches are good of handing it out with huddle and stuff. So Saturday I had quite a bit of what I needed to look at.
Also, one of your backs, Gavin Barber, went down with an injury, and trying to deal with guys getting injured. Any update? Obviously, again, you're it's not so much about being at the beginning of the week how he is. It's going to be how he is on Thursday. But any kind of update on the status for Gavin Barber?
Yeah, he has a shoulder issues right now. We're just kind of banged up in a few spots. He went out in the second quarter, but third quarter he went out. He's a good football player. He's turned into a heck of a running back and a heck of a linebacker. So we'll see what he can do with the shoulder.
And again, at this point of the season, everybody's a little bit banged up, and being a 9B school and the limited numbers that you have, it's got, and you're full force in the playoffs, but it's got to be hard to say, okay, when do you back off in practice? When do you kind of challenge them a little bit more because of where you're at in the season? Nobody is 100% 1 through 16 in the playoffs anymore, and with the limited numbers, it's hard to kind of push a lot of guys too, without also saying, okay, we still got to push because we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's the one negative of our schedule of being a grueling, pounding schedule is we had to bring it hard every single week to compete and to get wins or to compete with some of these top teams. So we had to play some physical football games, especially the last 4 or 5 weeks have been some tough ones. So that just when you're 9B, it just kind of wears on you a little bit. You only have so many kids to work with, and usually about 7 to 9 of them are all playing both ways, and kickoff, kick returns, they don't come out very often. So, we went hard during our bye week. We had a pretty good bye week, and we played well against Lyman, played well last week. So, now it's time we just got to start backing off a little bit and get some of these bumps and bruises hopefully taken care of throughout this week. But still, we got to get after it and do some stuff at game speed. So it's kind of a mix that you have to do it with, this time of year, but you just can't afford to get somebody hurt in practice, so it's a happy medium kind of a deal.
Again, talking with Tom Moore here of the Soybeans Chargers, taking on Kadoka on Thursday nights. And, Coach, before we wrap things up, final question here is what's going to be the biggest reason why the Chargers get the win over Kadoka area and advance to the quarterfinals?
Yeah, the big thing is we got to be able to move the ball offensively. We didn't do a very good job of that last week with, not being able to score. So we got to take care of things offensively, passing, running, do that stuff. And then defensively is just play hard. Play physical. Like I said, every single week we got to play physical. These guys are a nice football team, so we got to play physical, and we got to try to put the points up on the board.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Looking forward to this matchup on Thursday night. You can catch that game on Country 95.3 and on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports with DT on the call. 7 o'clock kickoff from Oneida. Coach, good luck here this week, and we'll as long as you guys keep winning, we'll keep talking to you on Coach's Corner. So hopefully, we'll be talking to you next week.
I appreciate it. I hope so.
That is head coach Tom Moore, the Soybeans Chargers. We'll return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the Central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Max Voth of the Stanley County Buffaloes as they get set to take on Freeman Marion Freeman Academy in the 7-10 matchup in the 9AA first round of the playoffs. And Coach, let's go back to the beginning of the season here real quick. You mentioned at the beginning of the year when we talked that one of the goals is to host a playoff game. Obviously, you kind of knew that regardless of the outcome on Friday night that you're going to be hosting a game for the first round of AA playoffs. But now that you got that here and got that goal completed, how does that feel getting ready to be at a home game on Thursday?
Yeah, it feels great. You know, Stanley County and Fort Pierce has always been such a proud community of their football team. They've got a great tradition around here that was going on a lot longer than before I got here. So it just continues to show, you know, how good this community is when it comes to football. And I look forward to seeing a ton of support on Thursday night, and they're excited to have a home football game that could be able to come to in the postseason. And yeah, we're excited as a staff, and we know our kids are excited too.
Now the next goal is getting that win on Thursday night against Freeman Marion Freeman Academy. And let's talk about that opponent. What do you have you seen from film on them? Who they're 6-2 coming into that game.
Yeah, good football team, really good football team. A little bit different than the teams we've played. They do a lot of the spread formation stuff. They do a lot of quarterback run, similar to Timberlake in the ace look. But they're looking to, they've got a ton of athletes and a lot of speed. So they're a team that really lives on those big plays, and they got a ton of kids that can make big plays. So we got to really focus on, you know, not getting beat with that big play and make them put drives together, and have our defense always be in the right spot before the snap of the ball. And if we can do that and kind of limit some of their explosives, we should be on a good side when it comes to Thursday night.
Well, and you mentioned Timberlake, the team that had liked it and really lived off of big plays, and you took that away defensively when you took on the Panthers. I got to think a little bit too that the defense that you have and those athletes that you have on the defensive side, that they're kind of licking their chops and excited about that matchup again and trying to limit the big plays of this Freeman Marion Freeman Academy team.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about it is like you said, we have a ton of athletes. You know, I feel like our defense is one of the fastest defenses in our whole league as far as even our defensive linemen can really turn and run. And they're excited, too, because, you know, here's an opportunity to, you know, a team that likes to throw the ball as much as Freeman likes to throw the ball. It's going to give our guys plenty of opportunities to try to go there and cause chaos on that quarterback and create some sacks and those type of things. So, you know, they're excited. Our linebackers are playing well. Our DBs, you know, they've done a terrific job. Coach Hosteser and Coach Gabriel do a great job with that defense. And, you know, we have a bunch of guys that have made really big plays throughout the year. And some of those guys that have made big plays, you know, on the defensive side, like last week we had one sophomore cornerback in Paxton Beal get 2 interceptions, and we had the other sophomore cornerback, Landon Bain, come away with 2 interceptions as well. So, you know, there's not really a weak spot on our defense. So it just really makes teams have to earn it all the way down the field, and that makes you feel really comfortable as a football coach.
You know, you're used to playing Friday night to end the season and then going to Thursday in that first round. We mentioned a little bit, you know, what might change for practice and how you have to kind of quickly get things ready to go. Was it kind of nice, though? I mean, it's not fun to drive all the way on the road sometimes, but maybe on a night like Friday night, you get back on the bus, and by the time that you get home, maybe you fall asleep on the bus, but by the time you get back home, you see who you're going to be playing, so you're kind of already – or maybe that doesn't help. Maybe you didn't get any sleep then Friday night because you're already started the wheels are turning on. Okay, now we got to start figuring out how to game plan for this team, even if you haven't seen the film yet.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, it's one of the busiest weekends of our whole season as a coaching staff is this past weekend. You know, it's because not only do we have to evaluate that face game that we just played, but we also have to get ready for an opponent. And in this case, an opponent we really, truly don't know much about. We have very few, like, overlapping opponents that they played and stuff like that. So it's just, you got to really dive into that film and try to figure these guys out. And like you said, it's a quick turnaround. All of a sudden, you know, usually we would watch film with the team on Monday, and then we would have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get ready for a game. And all of a sudden we're skipping that film step in order to get ready to go play this game a day earlier. So it just puts a little bit more pressure on you as a staff to really make sure you're lined up and you got your P's and Q's. And they want to make sure that everything's organized and in the right spot before that game day comes.
And we're talking with Max Foth here of the Stanley County Buffaloes. They take on Freeman Marion Freeman Academy Phoenix on a Thursday night, 7 o'clock kickoff from Molly Williamson Field in Fort Pierre. Going to be a great atmosphere for the Buffs to be hosting that first-round playoff matchup against Freeman Marion Freeman Academy. And you mentioned, too, no common opponents. You kind of have to start making A plus B equals C to kind of see different things if you go that far on how much, similar you are to this team or trying to really diagnose a lot of things. But does that make it easier for you guys, to say, okay, they don't really, they know, I mean, they're going to watch film, they're going to know us, but because we don't have common opponents, you feel like you got the advantage kind of knowing that there's no common opponents?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an advantage. I think the one that's going to help us is that the schedule that we have played, playing some of those teams that have had 500 and above records and playing those teams like a DeSmit and like a Bonhomme that are really physical and really get after you and really make you earn it all the way down the field, kind of that playoff football atmosphere of playing those very tough opponents that we had on some of our schedules. So, there's a reason that we're being able to host a playoff game, and that's, we beat a lot of good football teams this season. So trying to rely on, we've played good football teams, but, we want to play our best football coming up. And I think that, we're excited for the opportunity to do that in the postseason and even more excited that it gets to be a home game.
Yeah, 7-1 Stanley County Buffaloes. They are at home on Thursday night, taking on Freeman Marion Freeman Academy. 7 o'clock kickoff from Molly Williamson Field. And this is a Buffs team. If you haven't seen them, go watch them play in person because they're a fun bunch and have been all season long, going 7-1 in the season. All right, Coach. Before we wrap things up here, I was going to make a mention, but we're going to leave that alone. We'll maybe talk to you next week about how your team's doing. Let's keep focused on the Stanley County Buffaloes here. What's going to be the biggest reason why the Stanley County Buffaloes pick up a win on Thursday night against the Phoenix?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is our defense has to really do a good job of limiting big plays, and we've done a good job of that all season long. We are firm believers that if we make them have to drive the length of the field on us, that good things are going to happen for our defense. Just keep making tackles, keep making them line up and go to the next play, and try not to give up those big explosive plays that they can make because they are, like I said, so fast and they've got so many good skilled players. And then offensively, it's just to be us. It's to have our own identity. It's all of a sudden the playoffs. It doesn't mean we just try to transform and be a completely different team. We're going to do the stuff that has worked well for us, and we're going to use the run to try to set up the pass and really hang our hat on that run game that can hopefully salt this thing away in the second half.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. It's always good talking to you. Looking forward to the game on Thursday nights. And, as long as the Stanley County Buffs keep winning, we'll keep having you on Coach's Corner here for the football season. And so good luck on Thursday and hopefully talking to you next week.
Sounds good, man. I look forward to it.
As Max Foth, the head coach of the Stanley County Buffaloes, will return more Coach's Corner for this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Why am I so sore? There are everyday moments.
Hey, hold the ladder! Hold the ladder!
Yeah, that hurt. And there are epic moments.
Slide! College! Class of 1995!
When a moment creates a health need, visit the experts at Avera Orthopedics. We're moving health forward so you can tell the story. Learn more at avera.org/orthopedics.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at KCCRradio.com. Joining me is Coach Mike Kiefer of the Lyman Raiders. They took on the Castlewood Warriors here this on Thursday night at home in the 8-9 matchup. And Coach, it's good talking to you again here, and now getting ready for the playoffs. How was the weekend? Before we talk about that last game of the season, how was the weekend? You know, obviously you've been through it plenty of times where you finish on a Friday night and have the first round on that next Thursday. But how does that go for you? Not knowing your opponent, and then Saturday morning rolls around, maybe even late Friday night, then you start game planning. How quick of a turnaround is that?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Once you find out who your opponent's going to be, you gather as much information as you can and start game planning. Get to watching film and try to figure out offensively and defensively what you want to do, and try to find places you can exploit and their strengths and weaknesses, and match them up with yours, and go forward from there.
You're taking on this Castlewood team who's 4-4, and there are no common opponents between the two of you. So how does that work too? Some years I'm sure you get a lot of common opponents. Some years you don't get any common opponents like this one. Does it make it a little bit more challenging that first couple of days to start really watching film, or is it really no difference between having common opponents or not?
We have a little bit of history, with some of the returning kids, having played them in the quarterfinals last year. So we have a little bit of a idea of some personnel, and they have some really athletic kids and some good football players. So that's, I think, an advantage to both of us, that we do have last year's game to go off of. Obviously, they're doing different things both on offense and defense, but personnel-wise, you can kind of put your thumb on some things, having played them in the past.
Well, we'll go back to last week, Friday here real quick. You played Lemon McIntosh, got a 22-16 win. What did you like about your team getting back in that win column on Friday night? And what did you also leave Friday night saying, okay, we got to be better in this area going into the playoffs to make sure we make a deep run?
I was happy with us. We faced quite a bit of adversity during that game, that we were able to overcome. As far as what we need to clean up, we're just we had way too many penalties. We were putting ourselves behind the sticks on first down and second down. Those are things that can't happen in the playoffs. And can't happen in general. We were lucky to come away with a win with some of the mental mistakes that we made. So we're going to have to clean that up and execute much better, especially on offense in our run game.
Again, talking with Mike Kiefer of the Lyman Raiders, who will take on the Castlewood Warriors on Thursday night at Lyman, as they are looking to advance to that quarterfinal round. And you mentioned too, that you've played Castlewood last year in the quarterfinal game, but over the last couple of years for this Lyman Raider team, you've had a lot of success in the playoffs. You've been able to win a couple of games each year and make a deep run of the playoffs. In a couple of 2 years ago, I believe you guys were in the state semifinals. And so this is you're a group that knows how to win the playoffs. Obviously, you got different kids each year going through there, but how nice is it to be able to lean on some of these guys who have been in the playoffs before and can make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, our seniors have definitely been battle tested in the playoffs, and that's something that we've talked about this week as far as preparation and letting know some of our younger guys and our underclassmen. That they need to follow the seniors, and the seniors need to relay to them that things are a little bit different, intensity is a little bit different, the focus has to be different, because they're playing for their next football game, and if things don't go right, it's their last. So that's a carrot you hang out to those guys, and they don't want to be done playing football, and we don't want to be done coaching them.
And again, you're taking on Castlewood, and we kind of talked about the not having a common opponents, but you played them last year and everything. What have you seen from them, especially the last couple of weeks, that makes them a dangerous team coming into Thursday night?
They have several players that are explosive and have big play written all over them. They have a quarterback who's shifty as heck and hard to tackle one-on-one. You have to try to contain him. He makes a lot of plays by extending a play. He's offensively, he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Defensively, they get after it. They get 9 guys to the football. We have to execute. We need to stay on blocks. Just to sustain drives, and once again, we can't be putting ourselves behind the sticks with penalties and lack of execution.
Again, talking with Mike Kiefer here of the Lyman Raiders. Again, the 7 o'clock kickoff on Thursday nights at Lyman High School as the Raiders take on the Castlewood Warriors in the 8-9 matchup in the first round of the 9A playoffs. Coach, before I wrap things up here and let you go, what's going to be the biggest reason, what's the biggest key for the Lyman Raiders to get a win on Thursday and advance to the quarterfinals?
I think just playing 4 quarters of team football. We've had a lot of close games this year. And I expect this one to be the same way. So we're going to need to lean on those experiences, and hopefully having that, we can come through in the end.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. It's fun to be in the playoffs again, and looking forward to this game Thursday night against the Castlewood Warriors. And you know the drill. We've been doing this for a couple years now. As long as you guys keep winning, Lyman Raiders keep playing, we'll keep talking to you on Wednesday evenings here for Coach's Corner. So I appreciate the time. Good luck on Thursday, and hopefully be talking to you next week.
Yep, hope to chat with you next week.
That is Mike Kiefer of the Lyman Raiders, back with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Talk to you. You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah. As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com, we're going to talk some cross-country here. State meet coming up on Saturday, Yankton Trail Park, and we're talking with the head coach of the Pierre Governor boys team and Coach Jim Keys. As Coach, we can kind of jump into this here real quick because, one, you have a runner, and we're going to talk about all these runners here, but we're going to first focus on the runner that has got the best time coming into the state meet, and Jared Lutmer. His aspirations are not just a top 5 finish. He is looking to win a state championship here coming up on Saturday.
Well, we're talking about the guy that got third last year in the state tournament, and we're talking about a guy that put over 700 miles in the summer. We're also talking about a senior that has earned every bit of what he's got this year. He's won 6 races this year, and there's not a more humble kid that I've coached and that I've coached probably in the last 20 years. I mean, this kid is well deserved of hopefully what he's going to earn this coming weekend. And like you said, he does have the fastest time right now in the AA. We do run at noon. We run the first race at noon at, like you said, Yankton Trail Park. And he just 2 weeks ago, we were there for the ESD. Harrisburg hosted the ESD at the state meet course, and Lutmer put the best time of the year at that course. He ran a 15:19, which was his best time. So, we're excited about Jared, and obviously we have an opportunity there, but we also have an opportunity with the rest of our team as well.
So real quick before we again get in talking about the rest of this team, is that you mentioned that you're running at 12 o'clock, first race of the entire meet of the day. How nice is that to get be the first one? I know it goes all the way to 2:30 with the Class A girls being the last race. How nice is it to be number one compared to even be number two all the way to the last one? Does it make it easier, make it better to be that first one to go?
You can look at it different ways. You can look at it if I'm going to take the advantages. I think there's advantages and disadvantages. Either way you look at it, but I think the advantages are, one, we don't have to sit there and watch other races before we run. I mean, we're going to get to the course about an hour and a half before we run. We're going to get warmed up. We're going to get ready to go. It seems like it's going to be a decent day, about 62 to 64 degrees. It seems like perfect weather. Hopefully, it's not too windy. And we don't have to sit there and watch other races. And I think a lot of times what that'll do is that'll kind of get the nerves up maybe of some of our runners that, you really don't want them to think so much. You just want them to go out and run. So I'm going to take the advantages of not having to worry about waiting for other races. Obviously, in Jared's situation, they do give out a gold medal award to the top runner out of all three races. Now, the disadvantage for Jared would be that the other, this guy in Class A, who is also a very good runner, has an opportunity to watch and see how fast Jared runs his race. And so, not only did they give out a first place in each of the divisions, they give out an overall first place. So, but you know what? Jared's not even thinking about that. That's something that someone brought up to Jared the other day, and Jared said, that's something that I'm not even really thinking about. If it happens, it happens.
Again, talking here with Coach Jim Keys of the Pierre Governor boys cross country team. They're in the state meet on a Saturday. They'll run at noon in Class AA. And let's talk a little bit more about the rest of this team. Caleb Morris, another guy that he's just a sophomore, but he's got a chance to potentially finish inside the top 10, and two big runners that can finish very high for this Pierre Governor team.
Yeah, in cross country you score your runners. You want a low score in cross country, and again, having two runners up there, you would think that's definitely going to help us. Caleb is only a sophomore, and every year, he kind of matches what Jared did as a sophomore. So, 2 years ago, he's running faster times than what Jared did 2 years ago. So, he's kind of ahead of the cut right there, and we know that he can be in the top 15 for sure. I know his goal is to be in the top 10, and he can do that if he has, if he runs the way that he can run and beats everyone that he's beat this year. And I've told him this. I said, if you beat everyone you've beat plus 5 other kids, that puts you in the top 10. And I know he can do that. And for only being a sophomore, he has a big future in front of him. And I know Jared's helped Caleb out a lot in the last 2 years. So, we're excited about that.
Well, now the other you're taking 7 guys to go run, but you score the top 5, I believe it is, and the 3, 4, and 5 racers are going to be very key for you guys to finish as high as with the lowest score, but as high up on the standings as you can to be inside that top 6 to get medals for the team, for a team medal. And Hayden Wheelhouse, Ian Rouse, Mason Ward Zeller. Wheelhouse is one of your 2 seniors along with Lutmer, and then Jaden Brandt, a sophomore, Alex Odekoven, a sophomore. At 3 through 5, however they finish, that's going to determine a lot, correct?
It's going to come down. I've told the team we don't have one MVP on this team. For us to place, we're going to have 7 MVPs on Saturday. They're all going to have to be MVP runners, and that's just the way we look at it. For us to be in the top 6, even, I mean, we were 5th in the ESD, and that's only half the state. You got all the Sioux Falls and Rapid schools that are not in the ESD, and we got 5th in the ESD, and there's only 6 there's only 6 hardware plaques or trophies to take home. So we're going to have to really run well. We know that. But, it's possible. It really is possible because I think the state meet helps us because there's more people in the state meet. The smaller the meet, I think it's harder for us. I think the bigger the meet, we have a better chance. So you mentioned Hayden Wheelhouse's name. He is a senior. He's been our third runner most of the season. The last 4 or 5 meets, he's been my number 3. Basically, he needs to, based on his time, if he's in the top 40 maybe, he will have ran probably the best race he could possibly run. There's 118 runners in the race, and if he's in the 40s somewhere, he had an incredible race. Now, if he's our third runner, and again, I don't know who's going to be our third runner, but if Hayden's our third runner, our fourth and fifth runners got to be somewhat close. We got Ian Rounds, Mason Ward Zeller, Jaden Brandt, Alex Odekoven, and really it's going to come down to really how bad do we want it. It's going to be 20, 30 seconds that these guys are going to have to knock off their time from just 2 weeks ago. At least probably 20 to 30 seconds. And if they can do that, if they can knock off 20 to 30 seconds, I will say that we have a chance to be in the top 6.
And now the question too for you as a coach and for these guys that are running, obviously you can't sprint 3 miles and 3.1 miles and try and win a race or have your best time. You got to be able to pace yourself and put yourself at a good pace to make sure that, you get your best run. What's a big thing that this Governor team needs to do to have their best run and to get their best times here at this state meet?
If you look at my top 2, they got to go out. There's no question that Jared and Caleb, they got to go out. They got to put themselves. Jared will put himself in the top 2, 3 right away, and then he'll hopefully take care of business when he has to. Caleb's got to be in that top, that top 20 and move up into the top 10. He's the type of guy that does move up in a race. He likes to pass people as the race gets going. But I could see Caleb, move up 12, 13, 14 places in the race. I really can. These other guys, my other runners, 3rd through 7, what they need to do is the whole race, basically from, it's 5,000 meters. I would say from 1,000 meters into the race until the finish line, they got to be looking at passing people, consistently, constantly throughout the race. We definitely don't want to go backwards. And the one thing about going out too fast at the state meet, and I've seen this happen. You tell your runners, hey, we got to go out hard. And then all of a sudden they go out way too hard, and they've never went out that hard before. And then the last mile, they're getting passed by 30, 40 people. That's not the way we need to run. For us to have a shot that last mile, we have to be passing people. We got to be the ones that feel like it's ours to take. So that's kind of how we have to run the race. Can't go out too hard. Obviously my third runner can't go out with Jared or Caleb. That's too fast. They just don't have what it takes to go out that fast. But if they run like they should and middle of the race on, start passing people, that's the way we have to do it this weekend.
Is there any change at all in the course? Is it a little bit variation from ESD, or is pretty much the entire race the same exact format, or not format, but same exact race? No different twists and turns in there. Is everything the exact same from the ESD, or is there a little bit of variation to the track?
As I know, it's the same course, and they had a Nike preview earlier this year too. So there's been some teams that have already ran on this. Whether it was the Nike preview back, not the Augie meet. We ran at the Augie meet, and that's a different course. It's right next to it, but they had a Nike a preview, and that was a high school race. There's a Nike Heartland coming up here 2 weeks after the state meet, and so what they do is they have this race for high school kids to run in, and we did not run that week. But or we did not come to Sioux Falls that week, but we like I said, we got the opportunity at ESD to see the course. At about the 400-meter mark in this course, they have what they call the it's kind of like a loop-de-loop thing. It's like 4 little hills back to back to back, and it's up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill, and there's 4 of them. And it's just kind of a neat part of the course, but it's within the first 400 meters, and they got to do it twice. And so that's kind of an interesting part. But it's a pretty flat course. Other than that, other than those little hills that they made, I guess. Other than that, it's a pretty fast course, and we look forward to everyone to run a PR, because 2 weeks ago, every single one of these guys that are running the state meet ran the best time of their career at ESD.
That's going to make things really exciting going into this state meet. That not only do you the state meet is already exciting as it is, but everybody's got a chance to up their time, or I guess maybe even lower their time, however you look at it. But be able to set new PRs in the last meet of the season, and for 2 guys, Lutmer and Wheelhouse, to set a PR at the end of their governor careers.
Correct. And I'm so excited for Jared and Hayden. They've been great captains this year, and I'm just really excited to see both of them, finish their career, and hopefully on a high note. And like I said, it's all about the team, and I want to focus on the team. I want this to be, the most important thing that we talk about down there, and Lutmer will tell you. He'll be the first one to tell you. This is not about him. This is not about what he's done this season. Lutmer he cares more about the other guys and wanting them to place in the top 6, I believe. And that just tells you the character of Jared Lutmer. He wants to make his individual goals, but I can tell you right now, he would be so happy to see these other guys, make their goals as well as a team, or entire team goals, I guess I should say.
Again, talking with Jim Keys here of the Pierre Governor Cross Country team. And, Coach, before we wrap things up here, you kind of already mentioned a little bit ago about some of the big things that you guys need to do to get that best finish. But, what's going to be that number one reason why when you leave Saturday that you say, hey, we had the best race that we could have. We had the best finish as a team. What's the number one reason why that's going to happen?
Just leaving it all out on the course. The thing about cross country, it just takes one race. It's not like some of these sports where, you get your seed, right, throughout the season. It's based on your record, right? And you get to the state tournament and they seed you. Well, here's the deal. We're going to the state tournament, and you can throw the seeds out. You got a shot here, and you can kind of forget about what's happened, and it takes one race.
And it's head coach Jim Keys of the Pierre Governors as the states at AA meets will be ran. The boys will run at 12 o'clock at noon, and the girls will run at 1:30 on Saturday at Yankton Trail Park in Sioux Falls. We'll return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the costs throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
This fall, take some time to think about your future. While the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill, it's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
One final time here back at the KCCR studios. I want to thank our coaches and Steve Steele, Tom Moore, Max Foth, and Mike Kiefer, the 4 football coaches we talked to earlier today of Pierre, Sully Butte, Sterling County, and Lyman. Also thanks to Jim Keys, the head coach of the Pierre boys cross-country team, and good luck to the cross-country runners through all the classes and all the area schools, along with also Pierre Governor Cheer and Dance, as they will get set for their state meet as well, all coming up on Saturday in Sioux Falls. And we'll have results going into Sunday and into Monday morning for you on our website at kccrradio.com and on the air as well. We have Game 3 of Texas and Houston, with the Rangers leading through 2-0. Game 3 is coming up next. First pitch at 7:07. Let's get you out to Texas and Arlington for Game 3, as we'll join the pregame show in progress. You've been listening to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.